Hello, it's Henry Greenwood here from Green Schools Project, and welcome to the third session of your home learning for the Zero Carbon Schools programme. Now, I hope you've had a go at the 5 quick questions on the activity sheet. Hopefully these were a little bit easier than last week, so I hope you did well in that. If you haven't, just press pause, look back at your activity sheet and have a go at those 5 questions, which are all on things that topics that we've been talking about. So I just want to kind of do a quick recap of what we did in the first 2 sessions, because the first 2 sessions were really an introduction to the programme with information about climate change. So hopefully you understand and you've learned a bit about it, and also to help you, to inspire you to take action on this topic. Hopefully you think it's important, and to help you to inspire others. So some of the activities in previous weeks have been for you to do a little bit of research online, to read some articles and to watch some videos so that you know more about it beyond what we've talked about in these sessions. For you to talk to your family, to see what they think about it, and see what your parents think about how attitudes and opinions have changed on this topic over time. Really important, you know, we're talking about nature, the natural world in this. So go outside as much as you can. I know it's winter and it's cold, but it was snowing at the weekend. You know, it was beautiful. It kind of disappeared and went slushy quite quickly. But hopefully you went out and had a bit of fun in the snow at the weekend. Also, one of the tasks was to watch Greta Thunberg deliver a couple of speeches. Maybe you even got time to watch the documentary about her life and her campaigning. And then there was a task for you to actually write a speech to try and inspire other people to take action. Did you give your speech to your family? What did they think about it? All of those things were kind of, you know, ways to kind of build up your knowledge about it, and hopefully you've enjoyed doing that over the past couple of weeks. If you haven't, look back at previous week's activity sheets and you can get more information about it there. So now we're going to move on to a different part of the programme, and those of you who did the in-person sessions before Christmas, you'll know a bit about this. And it's where we actually calculate the school's carbon emissions. Okay, so we've talked about this big problem of carbon emissions going into the atmosphere. Remember in the first week where we had the blanket over the earth, and those carbon emissions are making that blanket a little bit thicker. We are going to actually calculate our school, Greenleaf primary school's contribution to those carbon emissions. And obviously they're tiny in comparison to the whole world, all right, but everybody has got to kind of start from somewhere and take responsibility for what they're doing. So that's this part of the project starts with working out what the school's carbon emissions are. We are then, once you all get back to school and schools are reopened again, and once we've calculated that, we're going to run some projects to try and reduce them. We're going to try and work out what the savings are. And then we can say, look, this is what we've done, and maybe we can inspire some other schools and other people around the country to do the same and to take action. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Here we are. So let's go here. There we go. So we're going to answer the question, what creates carbon emissions from our travel to and from school? Because that's the topic that you guys are going to look at over the next couple of weeks. And to start off with, we are going to be looking at travel, but there are 4 main areas that we're going to be looking at over the course of this project. First of all, energy. Now, Year 5 are doing some work on energy, and they're working out the carbon emissions from that. There's also food. Remember what we talked about with cows burping and farting, and that's the problems that they contribute to it. Travel is the one that we're going to look at, and the other last area we're going to look at is purchasing, which is basically all the things that we buy, because everything that we do and we buy has an impact, either a big impact or a small impact, and we're going to be looking at that. So we're going to look at travel, And what I would like you to do now is to just get a scrap of paper, a piece of paper and a pencil, and to just try and jot down on your pencil, on your paper, what are the things, what are the ways that you contribute to carbon emissions when you travel to and from school? Okay, so what are the things that you do which contribute to carbon emissions when you travel to and from school? It's not a very difficult one. There are not that many, so don't worry if you can only think of 2 or 3. I would like you to have a go at that, spend a minute or 2, press pause on the video, and have a go at that. So hopefully you've done that. You've pressed pause and now you've started the video again. I'm just going to go through what are the things that contribute to carbon emissions from travel to and from school. And really, these are the main ones. These are the only things that I could really think of. When people travel to and from school, maybe they get driven by their parents in the car. Okay, and remember what we talked about in the first session. Every time a car drives, you put petrol in to the tank. All right, and that burns as it drives the engine, and that propels you forward. But out of the back, out of the exhaust pipe, fumes come out, and that includes carbon dioxide, which contributes to our carbon emissions. The same is true of buses. But buses are slightly better than cars because you can fit more people on a bus. So while one bus generates a bit more carbon emissions than a car, there's lots more people on it. So each person's share is much less. Also, some people might get to school by train or by tube. Again, those carbon emissions are less than using cars because lots more people can use them. Although at the moment, during the pandemic, most people, you're not being encouraged to take public transport because of the risk of transmission, but hopefully things will be back to normal before too long. Obviously, that's not all of the ways that you can get to and from school, because a lot of you will walk or cycle, and I haven't included them here because obviously walking and cycling, you don't produce carbon emissions. So one of the things that we might do as a project is to try and encourage people not to drive to school, but to walk and cycle instead. So that's where we've got to for this week. The last thing, I'm just going to leave you with a quick question, and we're going to pick up on this next week. Those are all the ways that the school does contribute to carbon emissions from getting to and from school. How can we actually calculate those carbon emissions? How are we going to find out how everybody gets to school so we can do this calculation? So I want you to have a little think about that. And we'll pick that up at the start of next session. So please do have a look at your activity sheet, and there's some other tasks to do on there. The last task there is to really think about the UK's climate plan and compare it to what you know about already. I think it was in November that the school came up with the country and the government came up with a plan of how to tackle climate change. Some of the things were really good. Some of the things a lot of people thought were not so good. I'm sure Boris Johnson would think it's brilliant and world leading. I'm sure Greta Thunberg would say it's rubbish and it's not going far enough or fast enough. So have a look at those. The links are on the activity sheet, and just jot down some ideas about what you think is good about it and what you think is not so good about it. So that's your last task, and we'll pick this up again next week. Okay, hope you have a good week, and see you then.